Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Brianna Mezek, and I am the director of the Michigan Integrated Wellbeing and Inequality Training Program. I am a professor of epidemiology here at the University of Michigan, and along with our team here, we're just really excited to welcome you to this informational webinar. I'm going to ask Monica to introduce herself.
Great. Hi, everyone. So glad to see you. My name is Monica Firestone. I coordinate the MIWI Training Program, and I've been doing that since MIWI started in 2020. And really glad to see you all, and looking forward to jumping in. Can I? Would you like me to share the PowerPoint, Bree?
Before you do, there's two other folks I'd like to just have introduce themselves there. You're going to hear a little bit more about them and their journey in a second, but we have two alums from the program who are currently part of our what we call Alumni Peer Mentor Program, which means they're kind of continuing to stay engaged with us even after their official training has ended, and now they are participating in training others, including yourselves. So this is Tara and Charlotte. So Tara, do you want to go first?
Hi, everyone. I'll introduce myself later in the slides, but just quickly, my name is Tara Bautista. I'm part of cohort 3 of MIWI and now a mentor for MIWI, and I'm an assistant professor at University of New Mexico.
Hi everyone, so nice to meet you all. I'm Charlotte Farewell. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Colorado in the Colorado School of Public Health. And I was in MIWI cohort 4. Along with Tara, I'm a peer mentor. So excited to be here and meet you all.
Thank you both for being here. Monica, if you wouldn't mind sharing the slides now, that'd be great. Thank you.
Mhm. Oh, can you see it?
There it is. Perfect. Thank you. So the purpose of today's session is really just to kind of tell you a little bit more about the program. Obviously, I'm sure you've all seen our website and kind of spent a little bit of time on there, but it's always helpful to kind of just put a face to a name and then also hear a little bit more. So we really situate this program at the intersection of mental health, physical health, and health disparities. And this is our one of the things we love to talk about in this program is a Venn diagram. So that is sort of if you feel that your work is really sitting in the intersection of different disciplines. Sorry, my dog BB has decided to join us for today's session. Um, you're not alone. That's how we think about our work as well, is just sitting at the intersection of lots of different fields. So we've just done our introductions, but just you'll have these slides and video later. So there you go. Why would you want to join this program? So, from our perspective, from us kind of like what is the significance of the problem we're trying to solve? Because we're really interested in how mental health and physical
Oh,
health intersect.
sorry,
Um,
everyone.
oh, we know that it doesn't help to think about mental health and physical health in silos, that we all have have a neck, for kind of lack of a better word. And there's a greater appreciation now for the multiple ways that biological factors, psychological factors, social factors, behaviors sort of move or shape overall health. We also know that mental and physical health do not exist in a vacuum, but they exist within contexts, whether that's the context of your family or social life or your broader environmental context, and that those contexts are structured by things like access to care and socioeconomic status and both assets and harms that are in the environment. So this is sort of those three big pieces that I were on the Venn diagram on the prior slide. But we also know it's really hard to get training on all those different aspects of health, right? So some of you may be psychologists, so you may like be focused on that mental health piece, and you're thinking, well, how do I incorporate measures of physical health and functioning? Or maybe you're primarily a sociologist, and so you're really interested in these broader kind of structural kind of factors. But what you want to know is like, well, how do I get kind of specific to talk about something like diabetes or talk something, or how health behaviors, something more specific, right? So what we try to do in MIWI is we focus our training on three areas. The first is conceptual models, so how to think about the intersection of mental and physical health. The second is study design. How do you design a study that can rigorously answer questions that you care about? And the third are these analytic approaches, both in terms of analytic approaches, in terms of like open science, so sharing code, pre-registration, right? These kind of core foundational ideas around rigor and reproducibility, but also how do you, kind of in, we talk a lot about kind of more advanced methods. It's not that you're going to like leave here knowing exactly how to do, use data science tools, but you're going to hear about data science tools and see examples of how those are applied, and then given resources where it's like, okay, if you really want to apply this in your research, now you have a starting kit that you can use and take that and go forward. And um, I think the kind of core underlying idea here is really around interdisciplinary team science and collaboration. And so that more than anything, that is a skill that we hope you will develop, lean into, want to get better at, like feel like you can actually be part of a scientific team, no matter who's at the table, because you have the skills needed to understand their lens, understand their perspective, understand the trade-offs as they see them. So then you can articulate the trade-offs as you see them, because there's a million ways to answer a question, but they're not all equally appropriate or equally feasible depending on sort of what you've got to work with. So that is, I think, the core skill that we hope you'll get out of this. So the way that we this works is there is a 3-day summer institute. Ours this year was a little bit of a summer institute. It was in September, but we had perfect weather for it, which was wonderful in part because of just a little bit of bumps in the road in terms of getting our funding issued. As you probably have heard of, things were delayed. Very interesting this spring. But anyway, we persist. So we were fortunate that we were able to do our summer institute. We also do some hands-on training. You'll go through a simulation kind of training, like learn this year. We change it every year. This year it was focused on measuring psychophysiology, so kind of markers of stress reactivity, for example. Mentorship and community, I think, is the most kind of we know that relationships are how work gets done. And so part of our job here is helping you develop and broaden and deepen your scientific collaborations and the mentorship and peers that you were able to work with, and a research network that lasts. That is, we hope that as we continue to build this program, as we're, working on cohort 7 now, being able to just continue to have folks that see each other at meetings, that collaborate on grants, that are co-authoring papers, et cetera, et cetera. These are just some photos from our a few events. So the kind of middle one here is our kind of group photo from the summer, and then the one on the far right, it was just taken last month with some of the MIWI scholars that were alums rather, who were at the Gerontological Society for America meeting at the Wayne State divert sort of dessert ceremony. But you can see that there's a lot of work happening. There's a lot of small groups, and so while it's a group of about 15 scholars, we try to break into and do a lot of work in small groups as much as we can. So I won't belabor this slide other than to say, in addition to the Summer Institute, the way that we kind of continue working with you over the year afterwards is both in terms of tools that we give you to help move your work around, so move your work forward, excuse me. So we ask everyone to do a professional development plan, that you work with your mentorship team. So each of you is assigned 2 mentors. One of them is a director of the program, and one is an external mentor that's got some expertise that you need, or that's going to help you get your work forward. And then you do monthly reports or monthly accountability reports with us. That's really just to help you. I know how hard it is to keep things moving, to keep things on the front burner. I know how hard it is to keep writing when you have, or keep working on that grant when you get stuck. And so this is a tool that we use, that we've used in lots of different types of training programs that helps you do what you want to do anyway, which is get your research going, get it going forward, and when those bumps arise in the road, that you have the skills and the network needed to continue going forward. We also do additional webinars. We just had one earlier this week about the health and retirement study and using secondary data. So just, we continue to offer some additional webinars as we go, but really it's this accountability. And then we, continue to just have these, again, building our alumni network. Again, two alumni are here and they'll speak in just a moment. And we try to keep in touch with a lot of different ways. And hopefully some of you have seen our posts on LinkedIn because it's always wonderful to be able to brag about the work that we're doing. So in terms of eligibility, you need to hold a terminal degree. So if you are currently in a doctoral program right now, I wish you the best of luck with finishing up there, but please wait until you've finished to apply because the reason for that is that we we think about what you're going to need, like and if you're sort of still finishing up that dissertation phase, like the types of training that we're going to give for you, you're going to you're not going to be quite at the right space yet to benefit best from that. And so I don't mean that just in terms of the senior mentorship. I mean also in terms of the peer network. So we want you to have that terminal degree in hand. Um, we don't care where that degree came from. We don't care what that degree was in. So that is, we really want to have this. This is an interdisciplinary program. We ask you to have some demonstrated experience in health or health disparities research. The way you evidence that is by having peer-reviewed scientific publications or participation in research grants. We want you to have interest in participating in all aspects of our program. So that's the 3-day training institute, that's the ongoing mentorship. And that we do ask, and this is actually both like good for us and good for you, that you provide you talk to your supervisor, whether that's your chair or if you have a mentor, somebody who can kind of sort of vouch that like, yes, this person is able to like be away from campus for 3 days or for the summer institute, or is they're able to spend time on this. But it's also an opportunity for you to kind of show that you've gotten this recognition that, like actually like look at, and so it's not a weird conversation. We think it's like a great conversation, but it helps make sure that everyone's on the same page. That is, your home mentors, your home supervisors know what's happening, so that when you come and work with us, you can kind of have that be in synergy rather than in any potential conflict. So I think, is this where we're gonna switch and have oh, sorry, that's the next slide. So I apologize. So the who are our scholars? This is our folks are trained in lots of different disciplines. We've had people who come from a clinical background, so whether that's occupational therapy or medicine or nursing, we have lots of nurses that have been through the program. But we also have people who have been trained in more kind of traditional social science disciplines, economics, policy, epidemiology. And what kind of drives them, what they share, is really that ability or that interest in doing innovative interdisciplinary research that addresses this intersection of mental health, physical health, and health disparities, and that they really value that interdisciplinary collaboration and that they want to really be part of interdisciplinary scientific teams. So I think now we'll hear from our mentors, or sorry, our alumni peers. Yes, please, Charlotte, take it away.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Monica. So I'm Charlotte Farwell, as mentioned, and I was in MIWI a couple of years ago. I'm currently an assistant professor at the Colorado School of Public Health and up for promotion, so hopefully moving into associate next year. But when I began this program, I was 3 years into being assistant professor at the University of Colorado. So I just want to talk just very briefly about how my MIWI experience has shaped really my network and really, tangibly what I've gained from this program. So I think in terms of how it shaped my network, this is huge. It's been incredibly impactful on my professional life. I come from a traditional public health background, trained in a fairly interdisciplinary program out here in Colorado, but primarily my network was really public health folks. And so this program instantaneously expanded my network to include folks outside of public health. I think there were about a handful or so of folks in my cohort were public health, but otherwise it was, as Monica just said, it was anthropology, sociology, some clinicians, psychology. So a really diverse group of individuals. And it was, folks that are at the same level as me. So either postdocs or assistant professors, but throughout the nation. And so that was really, I found that to be so valuable because I was sort of in this little, bubble of just my own network, particularly in Colorado and in the kind of mountain region. And so that was one of the most impactful things right from the beginning was really having 3 days to connect with folks from the same levels, maybe very different experiences and backgrounds and very different geographical locations. Um, and then also MIWI has really helped me sort of identify and collaborate with experts with shared interests. So the mentors in the program are incredible and bring so many different types of expertise. And to have kind of like a warm handoff and an opportunity to learn from them and engage with them right off the bat was huge. That was really powerful for me. I was just starting a K when I started this program, a career development award, and really thinking through what I was going to do with my K, what I wanted to do over the next 5 years. And I feel like at the Institute, those 3 days really helped kind of help me shape like my trajectory and really what I wanted to prioritize over the next 4 or 5 years. And then in terms of what I've gained from participating both in the Institute and then now 3 years, 2.5 years out, I've really gained a sustained peer support network. So I can give you some tangible examples. There's a group of 6 or 7 of us who have gone to conferences together. We've published together. We have applied for grants together. One individual in particular right now, I'm working on a R01 with, and I really bring sort of this psychosocial resource background from a public health perspective. And she really brings this biological expertise from more of a psychology perspective. So that's been huge, being able to identify collaborators for grants and getting funding for this work. And yeah, so I think just professionally, I just feel like my network has expanded so significantly because of MIWI. And then aside from just professional, I just want to say that, in sort of an individual personal level, I feel like my kind of network of friends with shared interests has really expanded. And the folks that I'm collaborating with now, I love, they're just really passionate, really dedicated individuals. We all have such shared interests. And so it's just such an incredible opportunity to be able to work with people who you really like and who are really passionate about the same things you're passionate about. So I can't advocate for MIWI enough, and I'm happy to meet with any of you one-on-one if you want to learn more about the experience and specifics. But I'll pass it on to Tara just because I know we don't have too much time.
Yeah. And I'll try to hit some other notes, but I definitely second everything that Charlotte just said as far as like what I got out of it and networking and the importance of it. So I participated in the year between my postdoc and faculty position, my summer institute, which I think is a good time to do it. But if you are further along, there is something about the timing that is important. Like you don't want to do it too early because I think if you do it too early, you're going to say like, oh, I wish I could go back and do it again, and you can't. So do it when you're really ready to do it, I will say. But I think it worked well for me, and I've stayed involved with it, so I feel like I've continued to get benefits even as I move along. But I was moving from my postdoc at Yale to assistant professor at Northern Arizona University, and then since then I've moved again and transitioned, and now I'm at University of New Mexico. And MIWI has kind of helped me through all of those transition stages. And now it's kind of nice because now I'm in a stage where I'm helping others navigate similar transitions this year that are like newer MIWI scholars are currently going through the program that are also thinking about transitioning. So it's been good to have a network help me through all of those. Some of my greatest benefits, and I could have made like 4 slides of all the things that I got out of it, but the things that immediately float to the top, the first year of monthly check-ins with the mentor and progress reports were really helpful for keeping me on track in that it made me stop and think every month, what did I do this month? What was I planning on doing? What did I get done? It helped me reassess realistically the amount of time I actually have to do research because I was moving from a postdoc where I was 100% research to now suddenly being 50% research. And I wanted to do all of these things that were not possible. So every month having to sit down and write that progress report of what I was actually able to do that month helped me. And then my first year evaluation as assistant professor was done. I just submitted my progress reports at the end of my first year, and my department was super impressed on how detail oriented I was on all the things that I had done that year because I was doing it every month anyways for MIWI. So I think all of those things were really helpful. Having like the time set aside for a mentor. I know not everyone does that necessarily, but it gave me permission to ask my mentors to have a reoccurring meeting on our calendars every month. And that's not like a requirement by MIWI, but it gave me the permission to do it, and the mentors were willing to do it, so I did it. And that was really nice because sometimes it was kind of a therapy session with my mentors of like, my department chair told me this, is that normal? Like, I don't know, like am I supposed to be doing this? Like, how many preps in your first year for courses is reasonable? And what can I negotiate? Like, how can I do all of these things? So that was really helpful. I also got the opportunity to shadow my MIWI mentor who is at Johns Hopkins, and she was running, so she has an R01 that's been going for 20 years, like on renewal. And she has this clinical trial that started out with a community advisory board to build and that's where I'm at. I was starting with the community advisory board. So it was really helpful. I went and spent a whole week with my mentor just shadowing how she got looking at all the different curriculum manuals that she's done over 20 years, meeting with her project manager, meeting with her coordinator, meeting with her community reps, asking them, what is your job and what is your job? And do I need a you in my lab? And how do I find a you for my lab? And that was probably like the biggest thing that I took away, like the most impactful thing, because even though I was a lab manager, even though I was a project coordinator, being a PI and then trying to find that person you're on a different side of things. And trying to transition into PI was really important for me, and to stop being my own project coordinator. I needed to hire a project coordinator. I can't be PI and project coordinator. So it was really helpful to learn how to do that side by side with my MIWI mentor. Um, some other things here, borrowed credibility. I think MIWI gave me borrowed credibility in that when you're starting your lab, you don't necessarily have a lot of credibility in the field, but you're connected with people who do that are willing to lend you some of theirs. So if there's someone I really want to reach out to that I want to work with, they don't recognize my name, but they might recognize Bree. And if Bree says, I'll vouch for Tara, like she's legit, she'll get her work done. I'm able to borrow some of that. And we really need that in a network when you're starting. You need somebody to vouch for you. And I think MIWI gives that to you. Like I mentioned earlier, comparing normals, that was really difficult. Like I have this many classes and this many preps, and it counts for this percent of my workload. How does it work in your department? And that allowed me to go back to my department and say like, hey, I think we need to reallocate what my teaching effort is or what my service effort is. Like my peers across the country are doing it this way. Like I need some help with this. And we were able to practice those conversations. So that was really helpful in knowing what a normal is and finding like-minded scholars. I think that was the biggest takeaway from this past institute in September. It's a really difficult year right now for a lot of us that are studying discrimination, racism, transgender care, vaccinations, things that are like words we're not allowed to use anymore. So we had like a whole lunch session where we were just talking about like, where's your thesaurus? Like instead of using this word, we're using this word. So I was working with migrant farm workers, and instead of migrant farm workers, we're calling them commuting agricultural workforce, right? So that's one of my like synonyms that we're using. We all have those, but we're able to kind of bring them together. And it was just nice to like see that our work isn't banned and we don't need to self-censor too soon, but we have some workarounds within the community of other people doing this. And sometimes at some universities, we're the only ones that are doing this research, and everyone else is kind of telling us we're not allowed to. And we look across the country and see like, oh, a lot of us are actually doing this research and we know how to do it. So it was nice to just be in a room where we're not banned, like we're allowed to exist. So I think that was just I walked away from this institute at like a really dark time in the country, feeling like, oh, we exist and we could take up space, and like this program is allowing us to take up space. Um, And then the other thing I'll say is this, the MIWI allowed me to have a space where I could be a failure and like in quotes or like behind the game. Like it was a safe space for me to say like I should have learned this in grad school, but I didn't. I should have learned it in my postdoc, but I didn't. And I'll be vulnerable and tell you one of the things that I really should have known as an intervention scientist is waitlist. But for some reason, I skipped that, or like my mentor was using the term wrong, or I learned a bad habit somewhere. And MeWe helped me learn like how I'm actually going to use the waitlist controls and like how I can't use the waitlist control data and what I can't assume from that. And that was helpful to me because I was thinking like I knew what waitlist was and I didn't. So it was really nice to have a space where I didn't have to like fake it and pretend like I knew what I was talking about, and that MeWe was okay with me being behind the game in an area of my own research that I thought I should have known that I didn't. So that was really helpful. And then there's a lot like you get added to the MeWe listserv, so you get information all the time. Like there was just a session yesterday on NIH grant writing that I wouldn't have known about, but like somebody sent it to me, so I was able to log in and watch it. And so you get emails all the time on this, not all the time, like it's not overwhelming, but like you get sent out listserv, you get added to this listserv with all these opportunities. One of them that I would have never heard of was the Matilda White Riley Award through NIH, and Bree sent it out, and I got the award last year. And when it was a thing I wouldn't have ever heard of had Bree not sent it out. But that's, another thing that we get to add or learn about through MeWe. So it's just a whole nother network. So yeah, if you're interested in doing it, I would definitely apply and see how it's going to benefit you. It benefits everyone differently, but these are the things that I've gotten out of it.
Thank you both so much. That was so wonderful. I feel like I can just drop the mic and walk away here. But I think what they both really illustrate, the one thing I really just want to emphasize is that, no one does this alone. No one does this alone. And I mean, the thing that I love doing is connecting people. And when people tell me about an idea and I'm like, oh, you know what? That reminds me of so and so at this conference a few weeks ago. Like they were thinking about something similar. I wonder if you two could connect. And like, it's just there's it makes it is a joy to be able to do those sorts of things. It's not that, you need to like sometimes it's just an email. Like just an email of like, you guys should get together. I think probably every month I send about 10 making a connection emails. Like that's the title of it. Just somebody is asking me, do you know so and so? Can I put you in touch? So because I know that you all have your own set of skill. You're not coming at this, you're not blank slates. Rather, you have your own set of ideas, skills, strengths, but what you need necessarily is like just a connection with someone that you're going to vibe with and be able to build from that. So thank you both. So what makes it, if you want to, what you might be a good fit? So we jokingly, maybe not so fully jokingly, there's a little bit of a if you feel like you don't fit in where you are, you probably fit in with us. That is, if you sort of are the only one in your department that's sort of thinking about problems in this way, or people are sort of like, why are you studying that problem or that population? That's probably a good sign that you feel really good here and that we would welcome you. We are a community that values feedback, so I'm gonna ask you to present stuff that's underbaked, half baked, maybe not even all the ingredients are in the same bowl. But the point is that you want feedback. You want somebody to take your ideas seriously and tell you what they really think, experts, what they really think, so you can improve it, so you can be doing the best science possible. Um, it's not a requirement that you be working on a grant, but a lot of our folks are working on a grant, whether that could be for a $10,000 internal grant because that's what you need to build, or it could be your first R01 or your career development award or something like that. So either, it's helpful. We want you to have a vehicle that you're going to put this training into. And so I think like that's sort of the most important thing to be thinking about. So that may look differently at different institutions, but we really do want you to have a vehicle that, and this is even part of the application process, is we want you to tell us your vehicle, which we'll talk about in a second. And I think so. You heard the rest from Tara and Charlotte. So we'll go on to the next slide, please, Monica. So, just a few questions about eligibility. Do you have to work in a university? No. Do you have to live in the US? Yes. You don't have to be a citizen. There's an asterisk there because the world knows that that is the current policy, but things can change. Again, if you haven't graduated with your PhD or terminal degree, can you still participate? You can apply, but I don't feel good about your chances this year. I feel would feel much better about your chances once you already have it. That is, you need to have that PhD in hand. Um, we often get emails from folks who are kind of more mid-career. Maybe they're looking to make a pivot. This is a really challenging thing for us. I always evaluate these applications, but historically that has not really been where we emphasize in terms of our eligibility. So I would want us to you I don't want to say no, you're certainly eligible, but I it is it's a harder it's a harder sell for us. And then again, I think what's the best time to participate? I mean, you heard this from Tara already, but really when you're ready to put this into practice, I think is the best the training that you're going to get here. So what the application involves, and I'm sure you can evaluate or see, I've seen this on the website. So applications are due February 1st. We need a current CV. We need just a 3-page document that includes both your personal statement and a research proposal. Typically, this is a 1-page personal statement, or I mean, it says this here, and then about a 2-page research proposal. It's not that I need all pieces of this laid out, but the research proposal really helps me understand, is this project something that is in line with what we do? Do we have the mentorship to actually help you get this project done? We really, I want you to have thought through it enough that you have an understanding of what is your proposed design. So maybe you come here to take Tara's perspective, like, so you're going to propose an intervention, and maybe you have this initial control, but then you get here and then that changes because of how you're thinking about it. That's fine, right? But you should sort of have like, at least tell me what your plan A is, even if that plan A is going to change over the course of the program. And in fact, I would be shocked if it didn't change over the course of the program. If you already knew all the bugs and how to get around them, you wouldn't need us. Um, we also are asking you, whether in your personal statement or in your research proposal, but somewhere on there, to clarify how your project fits within the goals and priorities of the NIMH strategic plan. This is our funder now. Um, when we have more time together, or maybe know each other a little bit more, I'm happy to tell you more about the history of MIWI and our shifting funders. But right now, we are incredibly grateful to be funded by the National Institute of Mental Health, and so we want to make sure that everything we're doing is directly in line with what they are interested in. So that means if what you're interested in is, for example, physical activity, it needs to be, that's fine, but it needs to be physical activity as it relates to the or the priorities or strategic plan of NIMH. So is this physical activity for people in recovery from depression, for example, or is it physical activity as a prevention for depression or anxiety, or for um, physical activity in the context of, aging with, a neurocognitive disorder or thing. Obviously it's not that there's an IMH has a line in the sand between it and other types of kind of neurological or other types of behaviors, but it's got to be very clearly articulated. So we can talk about that more in the Q&A if you'd like. Um, so what makes a strong application? So we want to understand where you are and where you want to go, because that helps us know, are we the right vehicle for helping you get there? We want to know what you want. The research proposal needs to be well written, such that as a complete stranger to you, I can understand what your research is, what you're going to do, and why it matters, telling us what you hope to get out of the program. So is there something in particular that you've learned about with our either at this session or from what you see on the website that is something that you really think is going to be a piece of your training that you haven't gotten yet or that you really want to lean into. Um, Again, we want to be able to understand your project. Like again, can you articulate a scientific, specific aims, general approach? Um, and I want to just emphasize here that we are a training program. That is, we are looking for potential, not perfection. So we evaluate, all proposals are evaluated. Everyone is evaluated by me and Monica, and then the top two-thirds are also evaluated by our other co-directors. And so it is a collaborative effort, and we really do think about the entire cohort of 15 folks as it relates to the training experience, because we do talk about folks as cohorts, and that's intentional because we want people to not necessarily meet their best friend, but meet people that are going to help them like connect with these, get their ideas together, or share what they've learned, in their discipline or how their department works, etc. So those are things that really help us understand how we can help select as a group. Monica, I don't know if
I can skip this if you'd like, or I can play it either way.
I think we can, because I think in the past year we didn't necessarily have a scholar with us. So I think, but
Yeah.
we'll send out these slides afterwards, and folks can share. Thank you, appreciate it. Um, we also just like to again just illustrate how interdisciplinary we are. So the figure on the left is a word cloud of just the PhDs that our first four cohorts had, to kind of just illustrate the diversity of groups that are here. And on the right is a network of the first three cohorts. I'm not saying they were all complete strangers, but I don't think many of them had worked together. And each one of the lines that in between one of these boxes is representing a connection, whether that's on like a social media connection, that's the thinnest line. For example, you follow each other on LinkedIn. And the thickest lines are you've written a grant together, you've written a paper together, you've collaborated on a conference presentation. So being able to sort of see the growth of this, and particularly the lines between the blue boxes, which are our more clinical health services disciplines, and the yellow circles, which are more social science disciplines, is really our how we're metricing success of the program. And then I think we're ready for questions. Is that right, Monica? Perfect. So I'll ask Monica to stop sharing slides and throw them in the chat. She will also send them out by email afterwards, so you'll be able to have them there. Because I know for me, if I don't copy it from the chat, I will never find it again. So um, I'd just like to now open it up for questions. All right. Thank you, Tess. So, okay, so I'm just going to read the question for the recording. For people who have both clinical and research effort, are there any requirements for percentage of protected research time? So the answer is no. However, this is why we want you to have discussed your acceptance with the supervisor and send us confirmation that says, yes, I agree that Tess can participate in this program. So it's not so much about a percent of time. That's not what we're asking for, but that they understand that you are engaging on a training program that will ask you monthly reports on your research, and so that they're going to, I mean, we've never had anyone have this be an issue, but we think this helps you have a conversation with your supervisor as to how that this is a priority for the next year for you, and that you need to be able to have time, or if they can't give you more time, flexibility in terms of being able to get your work done. How many cohort? Oh, perfect. Yes, that is absolutely true. Yeah, and we're actually running into that with some other projects that we do. So historically, we've admitted 15 for each cohort. Applications, we typically get between 60 and 70. It kind of depends on the year. It's, I think that the applications have actually increased every year we've run the program. So I think again, to a testament to our alumni and their good experience, and then getting being able to have a little bit of brand recognition. But I would always encourage you, don't worry about what the denominator is. The only thing you can control is your own application and the strength of that. So you should always, the worst I can say is no, and you should always go for it. You will absolutely hear me say that more time and time again. Yes, that is true. We have had people reapply, and one of the I will be honest with you, if I was like, listen, this is what the difficulty was. I won't tell you how to fix it, but I'll tell you what was the challenge. So we do have like written notes on everybody in terms of like this was their strength, this is where we weren't sure about. Again, I do want to emphasize the importance of making sure that the proposal that you submit to us is aligned with the NIMH strategic plan. That is something that's really critical in today's funding environment. So I want to be, I don't want there to be any question as to how what we're, how we are meeting the needs of our funder. Um, yes. So the question is, can I apply if I'm currently interviewing for positions and have completed my postdoc? Yes, I think, Tara, is that the same phrase to kind of point you were in your career when you applied?
Yes, yeah. So if assuming this application cycle goes well for you, Connie, you would be in the same kind of trajectory that I was, and you'd participate in the program at the end of your postdoc and the start of your faculty position, assuming that's your trajectory. But
Yeah. Yeah, and if you may be going to we've had people who are at kind of research institutes. So, for example, one of our current peer mentors it's a research institute at the University of Wisconsin. I don't know if she's technically faculty or if she's kind of research staff, but the point is that she's able to I just want to emphasize you don't have to be at an academic institution, but you do need to have like research as part of your life, right? So if you're um, you know if you're in a clinical position and 100% of what you spend your week doing is clinical care, and you're interested in research, this isn't really the right program for you. But if you have either an expectation that is your supervisor or your institution expects you to be doing research, even if they don't make it real easy for you to do that, as long as that's an expectation of your job, then we can do business together. Ah, so the question is it better to apply in the first year of a postdoc or the second year if one has a 2-year appointment? It doesn't matter. We've had people in all different years. For some folks, I'm thinking of Juan Del Toro, who applied when he was in his first year of his postdoc. So he was in the second year. So we were helping him along the job market. He was on the job market that first year. We had a lot of conversations with him about, and this was during 2020. So the job market was a whole hot mess. And so I think that in hindsight, that was a very good time for him to be in the program because it meant he had a really strong network of people who could understand what was going on with him, and help him think through this frankly unprecedented time. But I don't think it doesn't matter in terms of our evaluation. It's really just, I think sometimes people get nervous. Okay, well, I'm going to pitch this project, but what if I then get to a different institution and now that I don't have access to that same population? Okay, well, that's fine, right? You still have the idea, right? I'm not asking for, you shouldn't be in like year 4 of a 5-year project and then sort of pitch that old idea to me, right? Like I want you to be, what I'm hoping is that we need this as a vehicle for how you're going to think about your science going forward. So as long as you feel like you're in a good place in your career to hear that feedback and take that advice and be able to learn from it, that's the most important thing. Um, in terms of the formatting, the question about guidance on formatting the research proposal, formatting the sections similar to a career development awards. Yeah, so I'm not looking for everything. What I want a one-page personal statement that tells me about you and why you think this program is the right fit. and and sort of that's like the version of the K award, right? Your personal statement. In terms of the proposal, it's really a specific aims and approach. I mean, that's really what I'm looking for. So by the time I get to the end of those 2 pages, I need to understand what is your research question? What is your sample that you're trying to, or, how are you going to approach that research question? And, I need to be able to understand what the science is. So it's definitely not, I'm not looking for the sort of ability to, um, I'm not looking for a K award. Let me make that clear. And also because I have your full CV, right? That's the other thing is you can kind of, you can point me to that if you feel like your personal statement, like a page just isn't enough. But I will also emphasize that brevity, being able to write briefly and concisely is an incredibly important skill to develop. So, I will leave it at that. Um, the is it industry? So the question is the program compatible for someone who is interested or simply preparing people only for tenure track roles? So this is a great question. Our focus is on research. So as if your role is, if you see yourself working in government, but in having a research role in the nonprofit or for-profit session, but having a research role is completely compatible with that. It will affect who we try to pair you with in terms of mentors. So for example, one of our one of our senior mentors was in the academy for a long time. Then she went and worked at Weight Watchers for a long time. Now she's back in the academy. So she would be a great person for you to talk to about what it's like to like go from having an academic job to then applying, working in kind of weight loss, obviously, is the name, as you have, I'm sure, surmised. But like, being able to take her training as an implementation scientist, then go apply it in the private sector. And then when that wasn't working out for whatever reason, or she decided that it wasn't what she wanted anymore, then she was able to come back. So we just want to make the world a better place. And we know that that takes all sectors. The other question is recently revised my KO1 application for the November cycle, currently under review. Can I submit that idea? Yeah. So we have had people, and Charlotte can maybe, I know she has to leave a little early, so she may not be able to speak on the phone here, but I know that you had just gotten a K, Charlotte, or is that, I mean, do you remember if what you applied submitted for us was your K, kind of related to that?
Yeah, it was very similar to my K.
Yeah.
I just got my K when I applied.
Yeah, yeah. So, and you're not like double dipping because, and this comes back to Ebony's question, we're not going to pay you to do your project. So, that is, you're not applying for funding from us to do the work. So you're not double dipping by any means. But what we provide is either in the case of Charlotte, we hope that we are providing like an accelerant to help you like take this idea that the government's paying for over here and now help you broaden it into new ways that you hadn't thought of before. So don't feel like you need to come up with something from scratch. If you've already got something that you're working, just be transparent about it. Just tell me in your personal statement, like exactly what you've said here. But to Ebony's comment, we don't provide funding, but I will say your money is no good here. So we pay for everything. You don't pay tuition, you don't pay room and board, you don't pay for an airplane ticket. It is all paid for by us. We pay our mentors to work with you. We pay our peer mentors to continue to work with you, but your money is no good here. Other questions? Thank you for being here. Well, you know how to get a hold of me and Monica. I want to thank Charlotte and Tara for being here and sharing their experience. It's incredibly grateful. I'm incredibly grateful for your ongoing, you were so inspiring. This is literally the best part of my job. And so I just want to thank you all for being here this afternoon. I look forward to reading your applications. Please tell your friends. And I just wish you all the safe and restful and restorative holiday season. And I hope that we'll be in touch in the coming year. Thanks, everybody.